So, I'm here to talk about the conference championships. So, let's talk about who's going to play who in the conference championship tournaments. So, we have in the first round, so we have on the 3rd of March, Tuesday, March 3rd, we have the A-Sun starting their first round of play. It is at a neutral site this year. A-Sun is normally at campus sites, but before the men's tournament, when every men's tournament final is either televised, the some semifinals are televised on ESPNU or ESPN2. You know, like the West Coast Conference is televised, like the quarterfinals on ESPN2. The early rounds, like the quarterfinal, but to the quarterfinals hit there on ESPNU. The semifinals are on ESPN2. You have some like major conferences that have their semifinals on like ESPNU or ESPN News or I know the Metrolinx Athletic Conferences. There's an ESPN2 on ESPNU or News. Excuse me, Metrolinx Athletic Conference as their men's semifinals on ESPN News on News, and then I know the Ivy League has before both were used to be on ESPNU. I know with the women's championships, the Ivy League has one on ESPN News, one on ESPNU. So I know ESPN News has some, like instead of airing like a bunch of years like of game like women's championships. I know instead of airing just a bunch of ESPN 8 the Ocho stuff from like various years on there. That's what they air. Um, they'll air like women's college basketball conference championships, stuff like that. So I know that's what they do. So yeah. Anyways, let's go talk about. Let's go SMP in the first room. And Eastern, it's from UNF Arena, University of North Florida. Looks like in Jacksonville, Florida. It's at noon Eastern. And we have Appalachian State taking on South Alabama. The Sunbelt is not based in Florida. Sunbelt does not have any teams in Florida, but they play for whatever reason they play in the Pensacola Basin or Pensacola, Florida. We're trying to make it like a true neutral site tournament. I mean, it's not. I mean, I get the idea of that. But I mean, a true neutral site, which is a true neutral site, because there's like no competitive advantage, like no teams from the state of Florida in there. So it is like a true neutral site, true neutral site. But I mean, like some of these schools, like some majors, they'll have like the Metro, like it says like Atlantic City, Boardwalk, area. So I mean, they have some having like neutral sites, some having not neutral site. Some having like it's on like a campus site of one of the schools in the conference. Like that's what I mean. The Big Ten does. SECs might have in like a neutral site. ACCs, but still, might not be in like a true neutral site. Might be like some like an area of the. I know the Big 12 do Kansas City, Missouri. That's like a kind of neutral site for like Big Ten teams. Missouri does not have any Big 12 teams. They used to have Missouri, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't mind it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Some dudes do campus sites the whole tournament. Like Patriots does campus sites the whole tournament. So does the American East. They do campus sites the whole tournament. And then what else? in the America East. If the ASUN was like the America East in their women's tournament got televised, their women's tournament, their championship game actually got televised the way they were doing it before. Even if they had to do it, say, hey, if you would play it like this day, say you played on say this specific day at this specific time, we'll televise it on ESPNU, or we'll televise it on ESPN2. Like some of the women's tournaments have to be televised, like played at like noon Eastern. Like they turn like I know in the Horizon League tournament, they've turned like the championship game in like a kids' day because it's like noon Eastern, and it's like the world's worst time, like a Tuesday night, the afternoon, or late Tuesday morning, early Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, it is like a terrible time, but it is like not so great of a time. Yeah, I agree. I know it's not, but then again, if the men's championship's at night the same day, and if they're trying to do it to where it gets televised, it's kind of like, yeah. But then again, the schools will be like, we'll take. Then again, the conferences and the the players playing will be like, we'll take it. At least hey, at least we know we're gonna be televised on an ESPN channel or on an ESPN TV channel. We're gonna have the big ESPN announcers. We're not gonna have like this announcers from the school, from the like conference announcers, base announcers. We're actually have like the ESPN main announcers. You know, stuff like that. So, anyways, you have Bellarmine, Florida, Gulf. That's at 2:30 Eastern in the Eastern first round. Then Georgia State at 3 Eastern. And then North Florida, West Georgia, and the Eastern Championship first round. There's usually sometimes a break, 2 sessions. It's all continuous 30 minutes apart. And it's North Florida, West Georgia at 5 Eastern. They're having 2 sites actually. They're having the UNF Arena in Jacksonville, Florida, the University of North Florida Arena, and then they're having one in a site in Jacksonville, Florida, at the University of Jacksonville. They have one at North Florida Arena. They have one at Jacksonville, Florida, which works out the perfect actually. If they have 2 member institutions in Georgia, it's kind of like the 2 courts thing. Like Conference USA, they had 2 courts. But what they did is they played they had 2. But with Jackson, with the Conference USA, though, they had 2 courts going at the same arena. It's just like the Dallas Cowboys practice facility. First got Star. So, and then your opponent was playing on the other side. So it was like a half-hour stagger. So like, then in the broadcast, I remember you would see like, hey, you would see Court A. If you're watching Court A, Court B starts at 30 after, and then in that one, and then there would be like maybe 10 minutes they'd show up. Might talk a tiny bit about halftime sets, and then go into that. So yeah, and then we have Queens University, North Alabama, Southeastern, the Eastern first round, and then we had one in the fourth. We have Arizona, Kentucky, the SC first round. Stanford, Miami in the AC first round, so 11 Eastern. Noon Eastern, we have Cincinnati, Kansas State in Big 12. VCU, Duquesne in the 10. And noon Eastern, on Eastern Plus. 11:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus is TBD one of the first round games. Winners take on Coastal Carolina. Then you have Mississippi State at Florida Mississippi State, Florida at 1 East, 3 Eastern. 1 3 Eastern as well in the OVC. 73 Eastern lock in the first round. We forced California in the ECC tournament first round. And then 2 3 Eastern. Houston BYU in the Big 12 first round. 4 St. Louis in the A10 first round. 2 3 Eastern. 3 Eastern has AC tournaments and AC North, the SC tournaments and SC North, and then all the other, and then that's it. TBD Louisiana or the other first round winner plays Louisiana at 3 Eastern, 3:30 Eastern, and the men play at. The men will get the 6 and 8:30 Eastern time slots, except for Saturday. Saturday is an hour later. The games are an hour later on. The games are an hour later on Saturday. For the women, they're at 1, and they're at 3:30 Eastern. Actually, they're not. So they're just actually that's a half hour earlier. But there are later or half hour later. I said earlier, half hour later at 1 Eastern, 3:30 Eastern, or half hour later. They are a half hour later. And then at 3:30 Eastern is Indiana Nebraska from Cambridge Hills, India, well, India Pacers, India Fever. 3:30 Eastern, that game is on Mid Center first round. And Peacock, they have OVC change first round, SAU G2 first round. Florida State, Georgia Tech, and the AC turn first round. And then 5 Eastern is Presbyterian South Carolina State, Big South first round. Assembly Championship, that's the only one that's on the Assembly Network. It could be on, also Mid Coast Sports Network. Because it's in Sioux South Dakota. Where that's a big event. They host a bunch of big events for men's and women's college basketball, college volleyball. So, since you don't have a lot of pro sports, there's stuff like the minor league, like baseball, minor league basketball, South Dakota, maybe minor league hockey in South Dakota leagues. One of them, minor league hockey is like, and then we have 6 Eastern is Auburn, Texas, and also Wisconsin Illinois. And we have a 6 Eastern Arizona State, Big 12. And the Barbasol is named first round. It's Rutgers, Proof Wayne. And Western Kentucky, Cleveland, Oakland, Cleveland State, Red State, Youngstown State. And then at Eastern is Mercy, since they wanted to Green Bay Eastern. And at 8:30 Eastern, Missouri and Alabama. And then it's Purdue, Oregon. And then at 9 Eastern, it's UCF, Kansas. And then, as of now, on the 5th is TBD in Georgia. Second winner plays Georgia between Georgia at 1 Eastern. Western Carolina, Chattanooga. Oh, there's 8 teams in the SoCon. All 8 make it, so quarterfinals. So we have Western Carolina and Chattanooga at 11 Eastern. Seattle, Alabama, Chicago in the Century Center at 11 Eastern. And then we have Clemson, Virginians. We have TBD High Point of Big South first winner plays High Point. 11:03 Eastern, Eastern close. And then number 21 Texas Tech in the second. They play a first round winner. And noon Eastern. And then Marist Manhattan as well. And then Medtronic of the Cruncher first round. And Big Ten second round. And noon Eastern is Big Ten Network has for the Big Ten Network. The Peacock has the first round for the men's and women's tournaments. Peacock. Or the Big Ten Network has the first round. There's the second round. The quarterfinals for the men and the women. The men have that on CBS for the semifinals and final. And then the women have it for Big Ten Network for the second round, quarterfinals, and semifinals. Well, CBS picks up the final only. And Eastern Kentucky and Eastern first round winner plays Eastern Kentucky in the quarterfinal, the New Eastern. And then some about third round, 60 by the third round with 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City, South Dakota in the Sunday quarter. And then 150 Eastern, UNC Great East Tennessee State in the second court. And then TVD University of Oklahoma in the second round. And then TVD Morehead State in the OEC quarterfinal. And then 1-3 Eastern, TVD St. Joseph's. TVD Notre Dame in the ACC second round. Without Gardner Webb in the Big South quarterfinal. 2 Eastern. With Houston TVD Ohio State. St. Peter Sarah and the Metro of the country first round. TVD Utah in the 2 second round. TVD Stetson in the A7 court championship at 2-3 quarter. And then 3 Eastern CLU Washington State in the West Coast Conference first round. And then TVD Southern Miss in the Sunbelt third round at 3 Eastern. North Dakota State play got by the quarters at 3-3 Eastern, 2 each. Stanford offer at 3-3 Eastern, so conquers. Yeah, we just have a bunch more. So, let's see here.